It is a slightly odd feeling when you get someone on your sofa of whom you actually are and have been for ages a humongous fan. So I am and have been.
Thanks,
of
mate.
you always since the first time I saw you.
Yeah, when was that?
Long time ago. Longer. It was the first year you came, I'm sure.
First, I did Muse Moose Hot Starlets in 2002. That was the first one.
That must have been it.
And my tech this year was born that year.
That's freaky.
So that's weird, isn't it?
That is freaky. And I don't know why I went to see it. I think I just loved the way you looked. I thought, the eye makeup, fantastic. Good. And the whole... Back then, there wasn't the whole culture now of non-binary, all of these things.
Yeah, absolutely.
On your behalf, I know you don't want this, but on your behalf, I'm extremely pissed off because you were basically doing, you're the same as you have been. You've been doing all that fabulously and wonderfully without, well, you did make a song about it, but without all the kind of pole-facedness about it.
Yeah, definitely. Well,
you've just been who you are, not just, you've been who you are. Well, I don't know about always.
Well, since I came out as a transvestite when I was 19, and that was Eddie Izzard. I saw Eddie Izzard and went, two things. One, I want to do stand-up because I wanted to be a sketch comic. I wanted to be Monty Python.
Oh, okay.
And Eddie did sketch comedy as stand-up. I was like, that. And also I went, I think this is that thing I think this explains what's been going on. Because I had gender dysphoria. And I grew up around Section 28, with Section 28,
Whoa,
so at a boys' school, which is quite a combination.
Shit.
And so I just didn't know what it was. The thing I've got in this show is basically the kids, generation younger than me, normalised non-binary as a category, normalised they, them as pronouns. And I went, thanks, and just slipped into it. And like literally like finding a suit in a charity shop, going, oh, this fits very, thank you much, thank you whoever died. And it was a relief it was in lockdown. A few things happened in lockdown. One was I wasn't on stage, so I wasn't performing a version of myself. Like a pre-prepared version of myself. Yeah. So my gender stuff started to kind of, I don't know, there was some evolution happening. Then in the gaps, like all this kind of happened on one day. I was dressed really, really, really feminine. And I'd done my hair, I spent loads of time on, it's not my normal kind of punk rock, put the makeup going on. And I was going into Euston Station, and I've always, up until now, always used the gents' toilet, right? That was my thing. I'd always rather piss off homophobic men than weird out women. That's my thing.
Good choice, I think.
That was my thing.
But dangerous.
Well, sometimes, and you do get a certain, but I mean, the other thing is that the pushback doesn't happen as much anymore. Not face to face, which is, I think, an important thing.
Absolutely.
So anyway, I needed a piss, and I really didn't want to use a gents because I was in a sparkly silver dress and heels, and my hair was up.
Oh yeah, don't
and it was
use
like
gents.
Totally. And then my friend Leslie, who I was with, said, "Oh, just come with me into the ladies." I was like, right. So I did, and it felt wrong. And I felt like I was behind enemy lines. And it didn't feel like... Because also for years I've been going, well, am I trans? Do I need to... Will transitioning cure my gender dysphoria? And that was like, no, it won't. And then at the gig, someone asked me my pronouns, and I said he, him, and that didn't sound right for the first time. And then someone else went, so what's this? Like in the bloodiest possible way. So what's all this? And I was like, it's kind of like off-pat... I'm a transvestite, but I'm thinking, I started going, do you know what, I reckon this non-binary thing that the kids are into, this might be a thing. And then subsequent gigs, people kept asking me my pronouns, so that became, and I was like, okay, right, if people are asking my pronouns, then that's actually, I've got an answer. Yeah. And I just said to my Polly, so my wife and my partner, I was going, so exploring different aspects of like what this could mean. And then as soon as I just into non-binary, my gender dysphoria fucked off, and it's gone.
So you found your home?
Yeah, this is it. And Will Hodgson, who you love.
Yes, I love Will.
Will, in the wake of me doing, because this was, I've got non-binary and sort of agender friends I've known for years, those are the people I struggled with the pronoun switch.
Right.
Those are the people for whom I had to build the third filing cabinet. Yep. And then Will's like, yeah, I think I am too. Like, do you reckon? And that's it, you know. And I sort of did some announcements, and everyone went, yes, you are.
Yeah.
I'm non-binary. Blah, blah, blah. And like I think you said in the review, like last year, you know, they're now non-binary, but I think they've always been non-binary.
Yeah.
But I'm not angry because I'm completely the opposite. I'm so excited about how the complete lack of shit I get on the street.
Yeah.
Right? Just doesn't have. You'll occasionally get a bloke go, oh, fuck, I thought it was a bird. Or a couple of double takes or some stairs or whatever. But I used to get, in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, if I, as I thought of it then, cross-dressed, I would have an encounter with someone who had a problem with it. And on my 22nd birthday, I think, I was living in Camden. You think Camden, right?
Yeah.
That's a place you can. That's
completely
that's a subcultural hub, right?
Rock on.
Yeah. I was walking. It was my birthday. I was walking from the flat I was sharing with my then partner, and we're walking into town, and two women, separate from each other and out of earshot, on the same room, said, "You're fucking disgusting." That exact phrase. Two different women, and the first one I was quite shaken. And the second one, I just started crying. And I'm like, I don't want to go to the pub. I don't want to. But that stopped.
Really?
It's completely stopped. Now, there's an online pushback. I was at Glastonbury, and there's a bloke with a T-shirt that said there are only two genders. Uh-huh. And I went, oi! and again, I talk about this bit a little bit in the show now. You know, there's only two genders. All right, well, what about India and Hawaii and Tahiti and the mooks of Mexico and all that? But on the whole, I went to the. I'm raising my niece, right? So this is all my life's gone absolutely mental since I wrote that last show. So my wife's sister died at the age of 29, leaving behind her daughter, who we're now raising.
Wow!
So we had to move out of London, so we had to move to fucking Milton Keynes.
Greater love hath no person.
We're out of there now. We live in Oxford now. So now we've got a kid who thinks they're non-binary. So now I have to put my money where my mouth is with the fucking pronouns. Right?
Wow.
So, hang on, where was I going with that? Blah, blah, blah.
But I think at the beginning, it was anything that takes prejudice and all that off the streets, out of the world, is great.
Yeah.
I kind of feel that now, where we are now, there's a kind of, I don't know about lost generation, but there's a generation that haven't really had any big fights. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so
that's true.
it's like, I've never really had a trauma. I've never really... So, I think I might be non-binary. Because it's all about thoughts and feelings. Mm-hmm. I mean, on the outside. So if you... And I worry, because I'm a Scottish grammar school girl, that we were like, oh, I feel this, and that makes it a thing. It doesn't make it a thing. It makes it your feeling.
It's true, and I think it's all going to settle down. I think it's the pendulum swing, and I think in as soon as 10 years' time, none of this stuff's going to matter. Yeah. People are going to go, I think I'm non-binary. And everyone's going, right, fine.
Whatever.
Yeah. But, and it's like it's going to be the least important thing. And I think there is, there's an awful lot of people who online put all of their weirdnesses and ailments and neurodiversity as like, that's the first thing you know, yes. I'm this and I'm that and I'm this and I'm that and this. And I'm kind of going, completely irrelevant, who are you?
Yes,
you know.
yes.
But again, we're going to move through that phase.
But you never did. Okay, maybe because there wasn't a word for it or whatever. But you never. All I really wanted to do in stand-up was be able to wear what I wanted and get past that with an audience. Yeah. That was the thing. And if there's something properly funny in it, then of course there's something funny in it. And I think that the best way to do that is, which, as I say, you never did, was to start by making that the most important thing. Yeah. Have you noticed? I'm wearing quite a lot of slap.
Yeah. Well, the line, you know, like point to the alpha male in the front row and go, "What the fuck are you wearing, weirdo?" And then they sort of go, "Oh, they've got a bit of confidence."
Also, you're very, very, very good at what you do.
Thank you.
And that kind of, it doesn't really... I think you could be wearing anything or indeed nothing. And if once you get into doing what you're doing, who's looking at the frock.
Yeah, but that's also the other thing that, like with my stand-up, the thing I always wanted to do, was be a club comic as well as anything else, right? There was, the Jack D had a show that had the opening thing, was that, you know, those kind of box microphones that no one actually uses, but they're on all the posters.
Yeah.
It had one of those, and it was this live shot, and with this cabaret seating behind, an empty room. And I had this feeling, this like adrenaline squirt in my stomach. What would that feel like?
Yeah.
And like, God, that must really be a thing. And that was a thing I hankered after. But I love weird comedy, but then so do most people. Yeah. Everyone loves Python, you know.
Yeah.
But then I started doing stand-up and tried all sorts of different things. And then I did Banana Cabaret, and I died on my ass. And I went home, and I cried inconsolably. And my partner at the time was going, like, they were quite freaked out by it, because I was literally inconsolable.
Wow.
And they're going, what's up? And I said, I don't think I can ever do the clubs. And that's what I want. And she said, what do you want out of this? And I said, I want to be the best comedian in the world. And she said, but that's not possible. I was like, well, this is an interesting difference of opinion. But then, and I was like, right. And then after that, I decided I'm going to work out how to do what I do to club audiences. And, you know, and I just, like, I do the glees and all that sort of thing. But because most club audiences they don't know what to expect because they haven't seen comedy before, right? If you get the right compere, which is quite important, not someone who's going to set it up as really combative. And if you go out and do, like, and I had, like, the first 3 minutes of my club set have to be weird, boldly weird, with a punchline, with another weird bit that hasn't got a punchline, something that repeats so they realise there's a pattern going on, but there's punchlines enough that they know it's going to pay off. Yep. And it's layered really, and like after lockdown, I didn't go back to the big clubs for a year and a half because I wasn't tight enough to make that stuff work, sell what I do to them, and only then, because I mix up my styles because I can never decide whether I want to be Bill Bailey or Bill Hicks, you know.
Non-binary comedy.
Non-binary, yeah, right. So then only after that, and only after I've set enough of that stuff up, can I do a bit that's a bit straighter. If I do that too soon, the weird stuff stops working. And that's 21 years of doing stand-up, 21 years of going, I'm going to do this. And most of the people I consider my peers, like say Will Hodgson, Josie Long, people like that, the people, you know, I aspire to being as good as, they generally don't do the clubs because they're like, oh, they're not for me. Yeah. And I kind of wish all of those people did, because club comedy's got so normal. Kind of in that, I think it's like in the wake of Frank Skinner, who's completely, you know, one of the most naturally funny, probably the most naturally funny person I've ever met. But he was like, comedy's now talking about your life. Yeah. And it kind of brought everything back to a really kind of grounded, quite like stylistically straight, and I think we lost something of that alternative madness. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So what's this show? Is it about anything, or is it just fabulous? It's a symbolic act of regicide. Hello. And so it's called Geburah. So all my shows are Kabbalistic path workings, you know, like everyone else. So as you do. Black Magic Fun Hour was Hod, which is Mercury. I'm a rich man and I have many sons as Netzach, which is Venus. We're not the least afraid of ruins was Tiferet, which is Sol, the sun. And this one is Geburah, which is Mars. So each one I do a ritual to tell me what the show's going to be about. Now this one, I didn't even have to do the ritual because I kept coming up with material that is uncannily perfect for this martial... So Geburah is strength. It's also the left hand of God. It's Mike Reid. It's God as Mike Reid giving you a dry slap, right? Wow. It's Mars, and it's gods of war. Also, Mars is the god of agriculture. I already kind of wanted to do a show about the housing crisis. Agriculture led to boundaries, leads to land ownership, leads to war. Mars is the god of agriculture and the god of war. And all of a sudden, this is all coming. And then all this stuff about... So there's a bit about my brother. Who's like this really masculine influence in my life. There's two different things about male genitalia, which I came up with independently. Well, it's a must, really, proper isn't it? Funny. It's the man with 20 bollocks, and there's the day I touched Richard Madeley's penis. And I was going, I think this might be too much male genitalia. And a mate of mine who saw a preview went, I think there's too much male genitalia. And then I went, well, let's take on the Brian Eno like oblique strategy card thing of disguise your mistakes as your intention. If there's too much male genitalia, lean into it, make it about that.
Yeah.
So those bits...
Own your male
Own your male genitalia, yeah, which in many ways I have done over the last few years. But then it's really uncanny. I've never had it that there's a thematic coherence to the stuff I'm just generating. Because most of my stuff I write through stream of consciousness writing and like the kind of irrational thing, and then I apply the craft bit to turn it into a show. But with this, the craft bit, I mean, I'm doing a bit of that. The Dracula bit's gone, unfortunately, but that's great. Dracula's rehearsals.
I haven't seen it and I'm missing it.
Dracula's rehearsals. You know, there's some lines in Dracula that sound really rehearsed, like the Children of the Night.
Yeah, Children, yes.
Yeah, so I'm like, I've got him practicing that. But anyway, it doesn't fit in the show, so it's gone. But it's really, and then the end is a symbolic act of regicide.
Okay.
So it's an act. So the whole, and all my shows are rituals, and this is the first one where I've got like, I'm telling the audience it's a ritual, encouraging them to participate, and with an ending, which is to top of the ending is to top of the aristocracy.
Fuck.
So
wow, and it's on where and when?
It's Monkey Barrel 1 at 10:25 p.m.
Oh.
And
you're already on my list.